Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the 9th day in a row of RSCast streams, or RSC streams, as you will. It was a very, very long week, a very long weekend, especially for the players and the people behind the scenes. We don't expect to keep you here all that long tonight, but to go over the recap with me is Barmanitan and Buddha.
Hello, welcome back everyone. It's glad to be here. No more fearless alpha jokes. It's probably the only way we're going to hear from it today. But I mean, lads, the playoffs of Prospect and Challenger. The series we saw was crazy.
Yeah, so many games going the distance, so much action all week long. I don't think we've ever seen so many days of RSC playoff action in a row, but that's just the sort of time that this is, you know? And, you look ahead and there's so much coming up, but still plenty of recap left to do yet.
Indeed. We knew when we put this schedule out it was going to be a tough task to meet, but we've done it for the first week. Unfortunately, couldn't get a B stream on the Prospect. Apologies to them. But, I mean, the Prospect final, oh my god. Did you watch that, guys?
Yes,
I did.
I was actually in the Majors watch party, and I was just in there supporting Cardinals just to throw them off. But that series was crazy. It was just so end to end, and I mean, wow. I mean, even the super sub Maestro at the end, they didn't quite get the dub, but he did put up a performance.
Yeah, we will go over the brackets very soon. It just goes to show how close these two tiers have been, along with all the RSC. But first of all, it's an award season, obviously, with Challenger and Prospect finishing now. So I did post some straw poll links in the stream interest ping. If you haven't seen them, go into the RSC stream interest channel. But we are going to get right into them and just play them at the start and in the middle of the stream as well. So here is the Prospect clip of the season and the Challenger clip of the season.
Honey, I'm a perfect 10. What does perfect even mean? Is there even such a thing? Oh, can we switch up all the rules and imagine a utopia? Darling, I'm just so fed up with these expectations. They keep weighing me down. My heart is begging me to get the hell out of my head. I'm gonna live inside the upside down for a minute and pretend. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa, whoa. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa, whoa. And if I say it enough, it gets ingrained in my head, and I start to see. Honey, I'm a perfect 10.
They have one more chance, one more opportunity, and it looks like the ball's going to drop. It's gone all the way back into the Majors half. They've just got to keep it up. But JPEG might have a double touch to finish off the game, and he does. Absolute double touch coming out from JPEG just to finish the game off and eliminate Majors down into the lower bracket of the playoffs.
Every single thing we see curated, it's overrated. These expectations, they keep weighing me down. My heart is begging me to get the hell out of my head. I'm gonna live inside the upside down for a minute and pretend. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa, perfect 10. Whoa, and if I say it enough, it gets ingrained in my head, and I start to think.
We'll be driving down the state, yeah. Looking around for the next crowd, yeah. Going our own way, trying to find a new route, yeah. We'll be going in circles, trying to find a way, searching for the things we do, yeah. Dropped out without a choice, yeah. Hair blown round to the window, singing stupid noise with you. I just wanna get to know ya. I wanna go far to the coast, yeah. I wanna drive fast to the ocean. I wanna know all of you. Growing old like a ghost, yeah. I wanna have kids of my own, yeah. Live a life till it's over. But until we do, it's sleeping soon. feel a little crazy. Sat at home being lazy. Wanna travel to the lady, fly with you. Wanna take on the world and do something. Would you by my side like it's nothing? Wanna buy you things that you wanted. Wanna find you, drop top without a choice, yeah. Hair blow out to the window, singing stupid noise with you. I just wanna get to know ya. I wanna go far to the coast, yeah. I wanna dive fast to the ocean. I wanna know all of you. Growing on like a ghost, yeah. I wanna have kids of my own, yeah. And live a life till it's over. But until we do, it's sleeping too long. It's sleeping too long.
And there we go, guys. That is the clip of the season for Prospect and Challenger. 16 very good goals throughout the 9 weeks we've seen. And I'm surprised some of them didn't actually make it into the top 5 of the weekly clip of the week by Maniton.
Yeah, it's just the quality that's all over the league. It's so tough for these players to punch up, but there were still a few that snuck into some of those top 5s and really got quite a few votes. You know, some of the mechanical potential in these players is just unreal, and I'm sure we'll go on to see plenty more of it in the coming season.
Indeed, we've still got playoffs yet to go, but do you think we can see any goals that top it in the minor and major tier in the playoffs?
I mean, you'd hope so. You know, as we go up in the tiers, you want to see some more quality goals. You know, it might not be the best compared to their tier, but you should see some incredible goals compared to the Prospect and Challenger tier. But you know, and then as you got to Elite and Premier, who knows what goals we are, you know, in for a treat for.
Indeed, and that is the clip of the week. We will play them again midway through the stream. Links are being posted in the chat, and obviously you could see on the poll screen then the link as well. But let's get straight into the recap now. And I mean, it's fair to say that we had a really good go on the Prospect and Challenger predictions. I think Bar Manitan, you got 10 predictions right. Myself with 9 and Buddha with 8, and then 6 correct scores from yourself, 4 from me and 3 for Buddha. I think it's going to get a lot more controversial today, though, looking at our minor and major picks when I was doing the PSD earlier, so I don't see us getting as many this week. But I mean, it kind of went how we saw it, other than Yahoo winning, didn't it?
I don't think any of us had that put down, and you know, maybe the gaps in quality were just that little bit more obvious here than in minor and major, where it's just a little bit closer. But yeah, I'm kind of surprised at how well I've done, really.
Yeah, and Buddha, what did you think to the eventual winners? I think you predicted it, didn't you? Did you not?
Oh, what, for Challenger?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't put it as my prediction, but I did want them to win. I was like, yeah, Yahoo are going to win it. But then I didn't want to put the pressure on. I just didn't go for it. I didn't fully commit to it. So I didn't technically.
So none of us had Yahoo then?
Yeah. No,
okay.
None of us did.
I think a lot of us expected Cardinals though, so we'll go through the Prospect play-ins now. And Buddha, what can you tell us about the start of the play-ins?
Start of the plans. Obviously, Orbit, you know, they did come off from a really strong end of the league play season, but, you know, they did face Bing, and Bing, you know, they've been strong pretty all season long. You know, they got Endrick and Crafty Mouse, who a lot of people talk about. And obviously, they made it through that play-ins, getting that 3-2 on Tartarus as well, which was a pretty good game. You know, Tartarus, they came out really guns blazing, but Bing, they just did edge that one out all the way in that game 5. Obviously, Oberon, we kind of expect them to kind of obviously take the floor with Fearless Bravo, and they pretty much did. I'm pretty sure we saw Brazil on there as well, and they even brought on their minimal sub to just, you know, add salt to our wounds. But then they fell to Hot Metal. You know, Hot Metal, I think this is a team that we kind of underestimated a little bit. Not too much, but I know I personally didn't really rate them that highly. But Hot Metal really showed me up in the play-ins, and they took on Oberon 3-1, which was a very good result. Because Oberon, I think that was a team that I saw being the underdog, taking it all the way. But Oberon, they did fall short, and obviously they got that 3-0 sweep as well on Exxon. But Hot Metal, I'd say they impressed me the most.
Yeah, and what about you, Barmanitan? We get into the finals now of the play-ins, and we saw Bing and Hot Metal progress. There was some, I mean, we all predicted Oberon to go through, Buddha even predicting them to win the whole thing, I think.
Yeah, it did cast that match between Oberon and Hot Metal, and it was an interesting one to watch because, Hot Metal were really in it. It was by no means, them defending for a full 5 minutes and then grabbing late goals to win those games that they got to go through. But, Oberon, they were really struggling, and it's a rare sight to see that. On the other side, Bing Tartarus, again, I casted that one as well. It was such a topsy-turvy series. It felt like the pendulum was swinging a lot more than it was in Oberon Hot Metal, and Bing, I think we're maybe slightly fortunate to come out on top on the end. They win games 4 and 5, and Tartarus, they were really close. They were backing themselves to push on, but in the end, just take it away from them, and it is somewhat deserved in the end.
Yeah, it was a brilliant game 5 from Bing. It was such a close series; it could have gone either way. But looking over to the Oberon Hot Metal game, is this where Hot Metal peaked? Because they had such a good second half to the season, and then beating Oberon, who were on the up as well, I might add. I don't think they lost for 8 series, or I think it was between 8 to 11 series, Bam.
I think it was 11.
Said. Yeah. So
From league play.
To take down Oberon and get through to the playoffs initially, were they peaking, Buddha?
I mean, you could say they were peaking. Obviously, they definitely did play really well, but I'm pretty sure I heard from a player from Oberon. I think they had somewhat of an issue of a disconnection of a controller, or I don't know if it was a player who lagged out. I'm not sure. I can't remember, but apparently that just destroyed their mental for the rest of the series. So that's definitely that they're probably looking back on like, ah, damn it, that's the one thing we didn't pick up on and kind of adapt to. But either way, Hot Metal, they really did bring a good performance. To go 6-1 in the play-ins is a pretty good run. Because you're against teams who are fighting for that playoff spot and teams who could easily make that playoff run. So it's well deserved from Hot Metal, and they really did bring their A game.
Indeed, and talking of A games, this is where we saw the A games. It was prospect playoffs. We saw Bing and Hot Metal go through to that lower round one. But Barmanitan, tell us what happened in the uppers.
Yeah, we see the top team that many were predicting, Cardinals. They go through in the only sweep of the whole playoffs against Prelude, and probably pretty disappointed with that performance. They were saying that people were underrating them and that they should have had a better chance than that, but they don't provide too much in the end and fall pretty short against Cardinals. That other matchup where we see Mages, who I don't think any of us predicted to go down immediately. Let me just double check to make sure that's true, and it is true. All 3 of us had Kindling dropping down, but Kindling ended up winning that one, and Pengu sitting out finally, maybe finally the winning formula for them as they don't have to play any sub games in the playoffs, and JPEG, Soren, and Killer Goose certainly proved more than a threat for the top seeds from each conference.
Indeed, and Buddha, what happened in the lower round one after the top 2 games?
Well, after Majors dropping down into that lower bracket, they took a game 5 onto Bing, just ending all of Bing's run in the playoffs. And obviously, Prelude, after getting swept, they dropped down against Hot Metal, which we know from the play-ins, that's not an easy team to go up against. And obviously, a 3-1 from Hot Metal, just continuing that streak of a run. But, eventually they faced in the lower semis against Majors, and Majors, in the lower bracket, this is where they really started to look really strong and consistent. We didn't see too much of it in that Kindling matchup, but in the lower bracket, they made a really good run. They went eventually onto that lower final, beating Kindling in that game 5, and that series was crazy. It was so back and forth. It was very intense, every single individual game. And obviously, they advanced that grand final. And I mean, this grand final was amazing. Like, this was probably one of the best and closest series we've probably seen all season in Prospect altogether.
Yeah, and it wasn't without its issues as well. We did have a server reset in one of the earlier games in the playoffs, but then also the Epic servers going down thanks to some little game called Fortnite breaking Rocket League. And obviously we had to stop the stream for an hour, nearly, like between 30 minutes to an hour, and then come back. And how does that affect the players' mental, Barmanitan? Because you're 2-2 in a grand final, and all the players wanted to do was carry on and get it done that night. So how does that break, do you think, affected them? Because Mages did indeed take it to a bracket reset.
I mean, I kind of want to say it didn't affect them that much because of the show that they still managed to put on. And I mean, if you're going to in the end a 13-game series overall between the two matches, then you're certainly still playing a lot of Rocket League. The fatigue hasn't gotten to you too much just yet, and they're just going back and forth, really showing they're a game in a grand final where you need to do that. So yes, it's tough playing after that hour break, and you're always raring to go. You always want to just get straight into it. As you said, they weren't ready to accept playing it another day. They wanted to get it done then, but they still put up a great fight, and I think it's just credit to their mentality. They still kept on going. They still kept on having that ability to play to the top of their potential.
Yeah, but it was pretty much a battle of the conferences, really, wasn't it? It was first versus first in both conferences, and we always talk about like this season of Glaciers being the top dog, and it is currently 2-0 to Glaciers. We can't factor out the work that Cardinals did, especially when Pure Skills joined them. I think they went 20-2 in the final 5 series with Pure Skill on the team, and it's no what's the word? It's no surprise that we all predicted Cardinals to win.
Yeah, I mean Cardinals, they've been strong all season long, and in this playoffs they looked very strong. They went to that game 5 though with Kindling, and it kind of brought up questions like, okay, are Cardinals, are they going to really be challenged? Because Kindling, they did play really well in that series, but Cardinals, they just really showed why they were the top team all season long, and they've just dominated. Well, not dominated, but they showed somewhat of dominance on the field, but obviously not in this series, as you can tell from the score lines. But they were a very consistent team, and when I saw them make that grand final from the upper bracket, I generally said this, obviously not a prediction on stream or anything, but I knew in my heart that I couldn't see Cardinals losing a bracket reset just because of how strong they were.
Yeah, and Barmanitan, I think we have to give credit to Kindling as well, because they did beat Mages in the first place. They also took Cardinals to a Game 5 and then Mages to a Game 5 again. This was a team that was really severely lacking confidence in the final few weeks of league play. And they just put up one hell of a performance in playoffs, and it could have gone either way from all three of these teams.
It really could have. I mean, looking back at the power rankings that we did at the very beginning of the season, Kindling were predicted to finish as champions, and they really pushed themselves all the way. They so nearly get that done, but I mean, two game losses are all that it comes down to. Those 2 Game 5s in the upper final and the lower final are what eventually knocked them out. And maybe it's that confidence issue. I don't know. They know they're going up against the top seed from both conferences, and in the end, that's what puts them out, and they're limited. You actually had this Mages Kindling rematch happening, but you had the other way around where Mages won the first one and then lost the second one. So you nearly got that one right.
Yeah, I fully expected Kindling to get into the final, and at one point it looked like it was going to happen. Mages did call me out in chat for saying that Kindling and Cardinals were playing the best Rocket League, and all of a sudden Mages make that substitution, Fluoster coming in for the rest of the playoffs, and Maestro going out, and I mean, they proved me wrong, so what more can I say?
And just gonna shout out another Cardinals, Cardinals again here, because Pure actually tied with Louis for the best prediction of on our predictor competition. So he backed himself and he got this team all the way there.
I think he got every result right as well. He did DM me this.
Yeah, I think he did. Yeah, him and Louis got every single one. It doesn't show us that because the bracket reset makes it go off, but they did get every single one right.
Yeah, huge well done to them. If you didn't know about the competition we're running, it is in the RSC playoff predictions channel. It is £15 to the winner of the most points across all tiers. So obviously Pure Skill getting them all right in Prospect, but we have to see how we did on Challenger as well. And speaking of Challenger, we go to the Challenger play-ins, and Buddha will come to you. What happened in the upper round? Oh, sorry, the upper round one. The first 2 play-ins at the upper bracket.
Well, this is where we start to see a little bit more sweeps come into play. Pyromancers getting that 3-0 sweep onto Crusaders. Crusaders did come into this at 6th seed. I don't think anyone really predicted them to take this, but Pyromancers, they really showed up in that series. Then Scorn getting that 3-0 sweep as well onto Party Rings. I mean, in a way, I was kind of surprised because Party Rings, they did have a really finishing series in league play, and obviously I predicted that would kind of carry over with momentum, but Scorn, they just shut them out, and they really proved that, hey, Party Rings, you may have had one good week at the end, but that doesn't matter. It's all about consistency, and that's exactly what they did, and we already saw 2 sweeps in that first round of play-ins.
Yeah, Scorn was playing with a sub as well, and it surprised me as well. I was in an IL game at the time, and when I looked at the scoreboard and the ball chasing afterwards, I didn't expect that sort of dominance in that game. But we moved to the bottom side of this play-in bracket, Barmanitan, and tell us about Nezuko and Epsilon.
Yeah, and that first match carrying on from the first two on that other side, Nezuko can keep up the sweeping trend, but it wasn't without they weren't without their problems, as in that first game, Fearless Kilo very nearly had it in the bag, but they just choked the last 20 seconds, give it away to Nezuko, and then Nezuko are able to take it away from them and eliminate from them from the season. And Fearless Kilo were lucky to be in there in the first place after going 1-7 in the last week. They almost try to make it count, but in the end they do go down without a game. And in the Overrule Epsilon game, I didn't actually get to watch this one, but I heard that Overrule were playing with a sub, and they still managed to bring it to 5. They were playing with a prospect, and maybe caused some concerns for Epsilon, considering they were meant to be a top team. And if they're going against Overrule, which not many people were backing, and they're playing with a prospect, then it's concerning for Epsilon. But it didn't really seem to matter for them, did it?
Yeah.
Sorry, I
sorry.
had to cut in here. I casted that series, and even with the prospect, it was Kieran. He actually popped off. Like, Kieran was actually playing so good. He was involved with every single goal for Overall, and I wouldn't really doubt that result on Kieran, because he actually played so well in that series.
Yeah, I was just going to back up what Buddha said. Kieran was fantastic. I was watching that series. Correct me if I'm wrong, Buddha, but I think Epsilon did go 2-0 up. And then all of a sudden, Overrule just came back into it, and they were very, very close to taking it. But I think Epsilon finally cleared their heads in Game 5, and I think dominated that final game.
Yeah, I think it was just kind of getting into it with their obviously prospect sub. I think it just took them those couple of games to kind of get kind of a sight of how to play. I think the first game, I think they got dominated, but obviously after that they bring it back, and I mean it's well played to them, especially the Kieran. He really showed up that he can somewhat hold up and challenger.
Yeah, and we go to these two play-in finals as well, and you could have been mistaken that this wasn't playoffs. The standard of these games, Pyromancers and Scorn found themselves 2-1 up, playing with Torchic as well, the lowest player in Challenger, and Pyromancers just found a way back, and the speed and intensity of this final bar Manitan was just incredible.
Yeah, I mean, all four of these teams are teams that people were looking to finish in the top 2 of their conference, and they don't quite get there. They have to go through the play-ins, and they certainly keep up that high standard, as you said. That match, that comeback from Pyromancers to get themselves into the playoffs, where they can go and have a crack at the top teams, it really allowed them to open up. And I saw you were saying that if Scorn had gone the other way, that they certainly would have had a chance to. All of these teams, if they'd gotten through these play-ins, they would have been able to have really big attempts at the maybe the first and second seeds, but only 2 were able to go through, and Pyromancers was one of them.
Yeah, we didn't actually predict them beating Scorn either, any 3 of us, so it was a big statement, and they did really well. I think they managed to finish 3rd, just losing by 1 goal, so it was a very good effort. But Buddha, Nezuko Gang and Epsilon, what a game again.
Yeah, it was a great game. It's so unfortunate the Zuko Gang, being in that top contention almost all season long, and they just fall short in this play-ins. Coming off that momentum from that 3-0 sweep, they were looking good. They were looking all over. But Epsilon, we know this is a strong team. In that last week of league play, or the week before it might have been, they took out Yahoo in a game 5. Game 5? No, they beat them 3-1, sorry. That's league play, not playoffs. So Epsilon, they were looking strong going into it, and back-to-back game 5s, Epsilon, they just look like an all-round strong team.
Yeah, indeed, and we move to the playoffs now. We spoke about the play-ins being such a high standard, but Bar Manitan, this was even better.
Yeah, and you look at how many game 5s there are even. We get 4 across the board, and every single team was here to play. It was just incredible to see. I casted 4 series in this playoff, so I certainly got to see a lot of the action. I'm so glad that I did. And you started off with Chorus Orcus. It looks like Chorus have dominated. They only dropped 1 game, and we all predicted Orcus to go out in that one, I think, but it absolutely wasn't the case. Chorus at times were looking a bit chaotic, and Orcus were trying to make full match of that. I think in that 4th game they did have the lead, but I think they gave it up, and Chorus just managed to get the job done. And I'm sure they were lucky that they did, because it allowed them to have a good rest of the playoffs, or a relatively good one at least.
Yeah, and what about the lower bracket, Buddha? We saw some teams who finished quite high in the table, dropping into this.
Yeah, obviously the first one, Orcus and Pyromancers. It's a 3-1 for Pyromancers. Orcus, they just had a little bit of a tough run, not the easiest of games, but they did get knocked out from there. Then Neptunium, they got that 3-1 onto Epsilon. Epsilon, after double game 5s in the play-ins, they do fall short to Neptunium, who were predicted by a couple of us to win it all, if I'm correct. I could be wrong, but I know I predicted them to win it all. And obviously, then they lost at game 5 to Pyromancers. And I'm not gonna lie, I think some people didn't expect this. I think people expected Neptunium to kind of beat them, but obviously not easily. But Pyromancers, they just went on full-on momentum from here, and they just really came out with a really strong performance in that game 5. And then this Chorus Pyromancers game in the lower final. I believe Chorus were 2-0 up in this one. So we saw that against Yahoo as well. They went 2-0 up in the series twice, and they almost got reverse swept in the lower final, but they did eventually find that game 5. And then, I mean, this grand final, we can all agree that this was crazily intense.
It was indeed, and speaking of intense in the final, just the upper final was intense in itself. Yahoo just finding consistency with the 3 players that they chose to play in playoffs. They did only play with Panic for 1 game in the playoffs and settled with Vapids, Twisted, and Dreed. And I mean, they've proved me wrong, because I've always said that a rotating roster won't do well in playoffs. I know Panic only played 1 game, but they've kind of played like that throughout the season. And Barmanitan, tell us what happened in the final.
I mean, even to get there, Yahoo were battling against Neptunium in the upper round 1, where I think Yahoo had a disconnect in one of the games and still managed to win 3 of them to get through. So there was always going to be an uphill battle. And especially when they do drop those first 2 games to Chorus, it looks like, Yahoo are down and out. They're going to have to go through the lower final. They fight back. They sub out Panic. He played that second game, and they bring their main roster to come back in, and they win 3 games in a row. It's just madness. I was watching it, Buddha and Blue Wolf cast it. It was just an insane comeback from Yahoo. I think the only reverse sweep we've seen out of every single match in the play-ins and playoffs so far. So it takes such an amount of willpower to do that, and Yahoo they were just the ones to do it.
Yeah, indeed, and that was the Challenger playoffs. Just as good a final as the Prospects. And a huge congratulations to Yahoo and everyone who played in the season and got into the play-ins and playoffs. It's no mean feat to do that over 9 weeks, to find that consistency and to pull out that winning mentality in the final. But we head over to the most controversial part of the stream now, guys. And I can see it being very controversial with minor and major, because it's just been so close all season. So let's head on to it and start with the minor play-ins, Barmanitan.
Here we go. It's the time that everyone likes to see us flop about and try and predict people in, and then everyone just attacks us in the chat, as they probably should. But I started off here with Uranium going through against Prominence and Arena Tribe in Game 5 in both matches. I've predicted quite a lot of Game 5s in this one just because of how stupidly close some of these minor matchups are. And that Fearless Echo match, I've given Fearless Echo a game despite Buddha maybe now saying that they're not able to play with their 3 main. I'm not sure if Arena Tribe knew that, but I don't know. I think Arena Tribe should have. I think they're still favourites in my book, but even if you were still getting your main roster. On the other side, they've gone for Sapphire to sweep Comet. I think in my only sweep in the whole thing, Comet did do well to get here, but they didn't look all that convincing. There has been no guarantee that Hoggy's always playing, and I think that's maybe their downfall. I've given Yoruba the win over Custard Creams. I think maybe 5 is favourable for Custard Creams. I think Yoruba are pretty strong favourites in that one. And then another Game 5 in that other play-in final where Safari just take it over Yoruba. I think the head-to-head was really, really close between those teams. I mean, it was close between all the Glacies teams, but I just give it in Game 5 to each one.
And we head to Buddha.
Okay, now I gotta accept the fact that I've predicted this on my own team. Okay, well, first of all, I went with the 3-0 sweep from Uranum. I just think they're so much stronger, and I think in the players they're gonna bring their A game. Prominence, I know they're a good side, but I just don't think they're gonna be up to it on the day. I'll say Arena Tribe have got taken 3-1, and yes, we don't have Gibran playing. We have our sub, so it's gonna be a good series, but just being realistic, I think Arena Tribe, they're going to turn up better on the day, but you never know what can happen. And then Uranum, I think they'll get the game 5 on Arena Tribe again. Uranum are just a strong team all season long. They've had the roster almost all season, or maybe they have. I'm not that educated on rosters, but either way, a very strong team. So I think they'll go through in the play-ins in that bit. And then Safari with the 3-1 on to Comet. Comet, not a terrible side, but Safari just more consistent. They got Angelo and obviously Fancy or Javier, whoever, what you call him. But either way, very strong roster. And I went different here with Custard Creams and Yoruba. I generally think Custard Creams will take this. They are actually a very good side. I think they're a little bit underrated. When I played them in league play, they were a lot better. We did underestimate them. Yoruba, I just think if they know how to play against them, they will take them. But I wouldn't be surprised if Yoruba do win the series. And Safari and Custard Creams, I think Safari are the stronger team. And I think I'll go to that game 5.
Now, before I head to mine, I'd just like to say, I can't believe that I have to pick one of 4 teams between Uranium, Prominence, Arena, and Fearless Echo. It's just ridiculously mad that these are in the play-ins. So, my predictions are Uranium 3, Prominence 2. I genuinely couldn't pick a winner from this. It was so back and forth of whether I put one of them through. So, I just ended up going with Uranium. I think all in all, they're more of an all-round team. I've seen what Axel can do in Major. I've played with Axelos and obviously with Anthony. And then Arena Tribe 3, Fearless Echo 1. As soon as you told me Jay Byrne wasn't playing, I instantly put Arena Tribe to win 3-1. It probably would have been a 3-2 with your full roster. Then we move down to the lower bracket. I have Safari winning this one 3-2, purely because I don't know whether Hoggy's playing. I know Angelo isn't playing, but I believe that they can win this without Angelo. And then with Yoruba, I've got them winning the 3-1. I can just see Yoruba winning this one, and obviously with Glacies being touted as the stronger conference, I'm always going to pick them over Ignis. So as we move into the finals, I've got Arena Tribe beating Uranium 3-2. Now, I've spoke closely with Axelos about Minor ever since the start of the season, and this is the one team that he's been scared of playing. He told me this in the preseason predictions, that he had Arena Tribe finishing over us, Toxin. So I just think that Axelos could get into his own head a little bit, and maybe the team goes for stat padding over results, and Arena Tribe take that 3-2. And then Yoruba will go for a 3-1 victory over Safari. Obviously, Angelo told me he wasn't playing playoffs, and Yoruba smashed Safari 4-0 on stream last time, and no one expected it. So I expect Arena and Yoruba to go through.
Yeah, I think I've seen Angelo say as well that Yoruba are the only team that they haven't beat. So, it's a very scary matchup for them.
Indeed, but we head to minor playoffs, and it is yours predictions by Maniton.
Yeah, there's more controversy to come, but I mean, there's only so safe you can be in minor, but considering how close all the teams are, I don't think I've gone that out of the box with these ones. I've gone for the 2 top seeds to win in the upper bracket, Overkill in 4 and Toxin in 5. Then dropping down in the lower bracket, Uranum to beat Hydra. I just like Uranum a bit more. You're saying that Arena Tribe are a really scary team for them, and maybe they just have that edge over some of these other Glacies teams. And I do think they go pretty far, as you can see in the rest of the prediction. Safari to beat Sorcerers. If Angelo comes back, then that's a really big boost for them. I think he should be playing if they do get into those playoffs. And it's, again, no team is an easy win, but I think they just about edge it over Sorcerers. Lower semi, Uranum to win against Safari. I mean, it's essentially a coin toss at this point. But yeah, I've gone for Uranum. They were really unlucky to miss out on top 2, obviously, and having to battle through the play-ins, I think they maybe have that momentum, have that edge, and obviously Safari have to go through it too. But I don't know. This is what I've picked. Then Toxin to beat Overkill in 4, Uranum to knock out Overkill in 5 in that lower final, and Overkill have done really, really, really well to get themselves in a position where they're considered a top team, and we'll looking back at their last season where they weren't at all a top competitor. They've turned that around, but I've gone for Uranum, and then I've gone for Uranum to get the bracket reset, but Toxin to close it out, as we saw in what happened in the Prospect Grand Final. But so tough to call every single match.
Yeah, it is extremely close between all the teams. But Bodo, we come to you.
Time for Big Bunda. Well, I've got the same result here. Overkill 3-1 onto Hydra. You know, I love Louis. I love the Hydra team, but I generally think Overkill are just going to be that extra stronger. And I've got Toxin taking a game 5 onto Sorcerers. It'll be a very close game. I was kind of really deciding who to pick for this one, but I think Toxin will just edge it out just because their playstyle. I think it will just come out on top. But for the same reason here in the upper final, Overkill, I just think they're much more consistent. They've had such a consistent season all along, except for 1 week, but they bounced back from that. So I think they'll take that in a game 5 and go to that grand final. But in this lower bracket, I think they're going to have momentum going into this lower bracket, and I think they will go for the clean sweep on the Hydra and the Sorcerers. A game 5 on Safari won't be an easy one, but it will be a close one. And I'll see in that lower semi-final, Uranum taking the game 5 onto Sorcerers. I've played both of these sides, drew 2-2 to both of them many times. I think I lost to one of them with a different roster, but either way, I know that both these teams are strong, and I know either these two teams could win against each other by just edge to Uranum. But then in that lower final, I generally think they will just start to lose out. I think they'll just get a little bit tired and maybe just lose that little bit of momentum. I think Toxin's gameplay, just the way they play, I think will edge out in that game 5. Go into that grand final against Overkill. Again, I think momentum will go for Toxin in that first series, but I think because of Overkill's consistency, I literally think it will be the difference maker for them in playoffs, and they'll take that game 7 in the reset.
Yeah, and I'm following Barmanitan in his predictions. I am going to bank all my playoff run on a play-in team. I've got Arena going all the way to the final, but just missing out. So I start off with Overkill beating Hydra 3-2. I think it's going to be a very close game between the conferences. Hydra were very much like the underdog in the last few weeks of league play. They came from nowhere and finished second via head-to-head. So they found themselves in the upper bracket, but I think I can see us beating Sorcerers 3-1. We have scrimmed them a few weeks back, and I think we'll be confident to take that one. Hydra in the lower bracket lose to Arena Tribe 3-1. I think if Arena Tribe come through the play-ins and Kyrie's mental is in a good place, I can see them making a really strong run, so I've got them beating Hydra. I see Yoruba beating Sorcerers 3-2. I haven't really watched Sorcerers all too much, but I think Dispatchio isn't there in playoffs. So I think Yoruba could just clutch that with Papusa. In the lower bracket, I've got Arena Tribe just clutching out Yoruba 3-2. And then in the upper final, Toxin beating Overkill 3-1. Arena Tribe beating Overkill 3-2 in the lower final, and then I've got to back myself, but I see it going to a game 7 against Arena Tribe 4-3.
Reasonable. I think we could see a lot of game 5s in minor playoffs.
What was that, sorry?
I think we could see a lot of game 5s in the minor playoffs.
Yeah, definitely. Every team is close. I mean, Toxin have drawn 9 games this season, but managed to finish first. That just shows how close it is when you've got more draws than wins and finish first. We head to the major play-ins now, and I'm guessing it's still going to be controversial looking at Barmanitan's predictions initially. And take it away.
Yeah, I don't think Mash is going to be very happy about this one, because I don't think he really backs himself to make it far here. But you know, I think the Blaze match is pretty set because of Spartax's absence, unless he again that is just the strangest tactic, and he's just going to show up on the day for the memes. But yeah, Andrew to beat Thanatos, Andrew to beat Blaze, and Mash to go through to the playoffs, and into the other half, Mega Man Cult to sweep Fearless Delta. They only got there because Spitta was playing, so you know there's not that chemistry going in from those last weeks, and you know that's the way I've gone for that one. Another sweep on the other side, Jammy Dodgers versus Zulu. I really do not feel confident in Zulu chances at all after that incident with Rookie and the ban of him. So they've been on a downward streak ever since then, and Jammy Dodgers I think have looked pretty strong in recent times. They've been getting solid results. They were challenging for first and second. You know, they only finished 2 wins off of second in the end, so they certainly were getting up there, and I've put them to win the play-in final as well, to get that game 5 against Mega Man Cult. The only game 5 I predicted here, but I do think that would probably be the closest matchup.
Yeah, and I think you're getting targeted for people thinking you're taking some illegal substances here, so we'll move on to Mine and Budders. Maybe
Right,
people
well,
think they're a little better. Oh,
Okay.
I've hidden farms.
Oh,
There we go.
thank you. Hold up. Yeah, okay, well. Okay, Spartax, he says he's not there, but I think he will, on a miracle, he will turn up, okay? He's going to be there, and they're going to take a game 5 onto Blaze. Thanatos, I think they get that 3-1 onto Andrew. Andrew, pretty strong side, but this is not being egotistical, but, I mean, my team won with me in it, so I just think, Thanatos will be stronger. And then in the next game, Rhapsody and Thanatos. Rhapsody, Spartax, he's going to be coming out booming, he's going to be peaking, and yeah, this team's just going to go all the way 3-1. Rhapsody, they will go to those playoffs. And obviously, this one, Megamin Colt, Fearless Delta. I mean, Megamin Colt, they are just a lot stronger. Fearless Delta hasn't really got a lot of chemistry, to be honest, but I'm just giving my team that little extra nudge we will get one game, but you never know. Jamie Dodgers and Zulu. Zulu, they've just been going downhill ever since, obviously, the Rukia situation. I just don't see them taking the series. And I think Jamie Dodgers, they're a very strong team. So I think they'll go for that 3-1, but they're not strong enough for Megamin Colt. That'll go to a game 5, and Megamin Colt and Rhapsody will go to the playoffs.
Yeah, and I start with the first game. I'm not going to give players of the season away in any tier, but I'm just going to give you a clue that Spartax is in the top 3 players in major, based on stats this season. And he says he's not playing, so I'm going with a Blaze sweep all day. Blaze were predicted first in this conference at the start of the season based on the roster that they had. It didn't quite work out, but then they brought in Pacey, and their form has been on the up and up. So I just think they take it over Rhapsody without them getting a game, to be honest. Thanatos and Anju, I go with Thanatos 3-2. I played against Rapids last week in Major, and I mean, that man can play Rocket League. He's so cracked, and the only thing it hinges on is the 2 people who are playing around him. They have been using FAs and perm FAs, so I'm hoping he's got a full squad around him. But I see them taking Andrew in this. As Barmanitan pointed out, MASH doesn't have confidence, and also, I said at the start of the season, it's kind of a mishmashy roster. Like I didn't see it working, and I still maintain that in the major play-ins. I see Megamin Cult sweeping Fearless Delta. Obviously, they've got a 3-man roster, and Buddha might have to step up if one of them doesn't play. Jammy Dodgers, I see them beating Zulu 3-1 purely for the fact that Zulu haven't won a series between 5 to 8 series now since Rukia left. So that's going to be a tough ask for them, and I think Papusa might have to step up and play as well. In the finals, I've got Blaze beating Thanatos 3-1 for the reasons I maintained earlier. I think Blaze's roster has improved a lot. Pacey's peaked something like 1750 now, and he's really improved his team. And I have Megamin Cult beating Jammy Dodgers 3-1 against... playing Jammy Dodgers and beating them 3-1. It probably would have been a tighter scoreline because Shires initially was going to miss this, but the dates changed so that each bracket could play on the same night, and luckily Shires can play and they've got the strongest roster.
Yeah, I just went the other way on that one. It's still really close. I think the minor plans are a bit closer than major, but still across the board, there's tough decisions to be made.
Yeah, indeed, and we move to tough decisions in the playoffs now, Barmanitan.
Here, or when the cries really start coming out from Lovely Cams, is, he doesn't want anyone predicting Gladiators to win, but that is what I've done here. I've got them to win all 3 series that they play, but they started off against Bladesmiths, who struggled to get second in the end. I mean, they should have been playing ceiling, but they struggle in league play, and then I've got them bombing out to Jammy Dodgers as well, who I do like the look of. And then their side, Venom to lose to Saturnia in 5. Pretty close series, that one, I think, but I think Venom Angie is a lot more clear set. I think Angie would be lucky to get in there. I predicted them to get into the playoffs, but I don't think they'll really have much of a chance against any of the teams coming down from the lower bracket, and Venom to then go and sweep Jammy Dodgers as well, get into that Game 5 rematch against Saturnia, but to lose it again, and then Saturnia to go and lose the rematch to Gladiators. So yeah, I've backed the Irish pair to do it this season after they couldn't last, but it's in their hands, I think.
Indeed, and Buddha, who have you got to win?
Who have I got to win? Well, as you can see, Saturnia in that game 5 onto Venom, and obviously Gladiators with the 3-1 onto Bladesmiths. You know, Bladesmiths, they are a pretty good side, but Gladiators, they've been strong all season long, and I think they'll take that 3-1 as well onto Saturnia. You know, Saturnia, they are a good team, but Gladiators, as I say, they've just been strong all season, and I just think that will carry on to the playoffs. And then Venom taking that 3-1 onto Rhapsody. Spartax will eventually break his controller, as he says so, and they'll lose that series there. Bladesmiths and Megamin Colt, this is where I feel bad for Bladesmiths because they are a good side, but I just feel like they're playing two very tough teams, and I think they'll fall short in that game 5. But then Megaman Colt will eventually drop down, well, not drop down, but drop out to Venom in that game 5 in the lower semis. But then Venom will go to that lower final, losing to Saturnia in a game 5. I think Saturnia, we know they'll be on the bounce back to get back into that grand final, which they will make. But Gladiators, I just can't see them losing. It won't be a sweep. I think Saturnia will give them a great series, but Gladiators, I think they'll just dominate.
Now, I've been saying all season that Gladiators will win. However, I wanted to see the uproar in the chat tonight, so I'm going Saturnia 3, Venom 2. I'm going Gladiators 3, Bladesmiths 1 because Bladesmiths really struggled against them. Or am I thinking of Saturnia? I don't know whether they played each other, but I think they struggled against each other. I then have Venom to beat Blaze 3-2. I think we've got the better head-to-head on them in our league. And then I have Megamin Cult taking out Bladesmiths 3-2. This might be a controversial one, but I remember a stream where I think I watched Megamin versus Andrew. Andrew went like 1-0 or 2-0 up, and after that, the play style of Megamin just changed, and the playmaking from Dopamine and that just clicked, and I think they're gonna go quite far. I even have them beating Venom in the lower semi. This is down to my players now to prove me wrong, because obviously Ojkan hasn't been playing the game. So in the upper final, I have Gladiators beating Saturnia 3-2. And then I have in the lower final Saturnia beating Megamin in a game 5. But then in the final, I think it's going to go to a bracket reset, and I'm going to predict the same as last season. I think Cans and Evoke Mental will just go after one bracket reset, and I think they're going to get beaten by Saturnia, who have the all-round stronger team, because Gladiators do have a 1550 or 1540 as their third, so I just think Saturnia are more well-rounded. Sorry, Cans.
There's definitely something to be said in that third play. You know, everyone's looking at evoking Cans, but
yeah,
Canham and Overkill or Fithy will play up to that standard. I
mean, it's a team game, and QX stepped up to Major, and it didn't work out, and it's how much pressure they want to put on their third player. So yeah, just prove me wrong. Saturnia are going to win the bracket reset. But we do have a guest now. From Minor, and it is DP76. I will drag him in here. I knew we were going to get slaughtered for these minor and major predictions anyway, so let it all out, guys. We don't mind. We had it all with JQ
that reaction
last season.
When they saw Saturnia winning was incredible.
But yeah, hello DP.
Hello. How is everyone?
Hello.
We're good. We're just having fun looking at the chat. Are you as mad at our predictions as the chat, maybe?
I mean, they seem a lot more angry about your prediction at the end there than the minor ones seem to be. So, I mean,
I like I said, I predicted Gladiators all season. I just wanted to see the pot stirred a little in the final week. But yeah, how are you feeling coming into playoffs now?
I mean, we're feeling all right. Brandau's decided to go on a week trip to Paris, and his flight lands during our first game, so we'll be without him for a little bit, which is not great because, you know, our thing is we rotate the roster. That's kind of what we do. But, you know, Milu 6-pounder, we've been doing a few scrims. The results haven't been great in the scrims, but we're not, you know, we never get good scrim results. So, you know, just keep playing, keeping warming up and see how it goes.
Are you confident in taking playoffs, and who's the one team that you stand out to you that can give you a game 5 or a game 7?
I mean, I think most teams will bring us to like a game 5's game. So I think Hydra. I think a lot of people are underestimating Hydra. I think we also are slightly underestimating them. We do think we can take them fairly easily. Bit of confidence there, but I think if Toxin were to win their game, that will be a game 5. Could go either way. But the main team we're looking at is Uranium because of course, they're one of the only teams to beat us in league play. So even if we're going into the game thinking we can beat these, I think there's always going to be the subconscious thought that we've lost to these before. Let's not do it again.
My last question for you then would be: do you see Uranium going through the play-in bracket? Because it is the toughest side of the play-ins.
I think Uranium could end up getting all the way to the grand final. I think they're a very strong team, and the only reason they are in play-ins in the first place is because they had that one bad week, and like we did, but we got a bit more lucky than they did. So yeah, I think Uranium will go all the way through.
Yeah, a couple of us predicted that the person who gets through that bracket goes to the final. So it's nice to see others agreeing. But Buddha, have you got any questions for DP?
I know I asked this a while ago in a interview after your series, but just more for the people than me because I kind of already know the answer. Obviously, for some people that know, last season your team obviously didn't have the best performance in league play, but obviously this season you just really bounced back. And just obviously other than roster changes, what kind of really was a big part of that to have such a good performance in league play, and obviously now going into the playoffs in the upper bracket?
I think a lot of it is just sort of the chemistry we have with the team. During the games, me, Pound, and Lucix, we're all joking around, we're having fun. Even if we're dropping games, we're not getting down about it. Even if we let a goal in, we're just sort of staying positive and having fun with it. And I think that's the main thing with mental going into these games, especially going into the playoffs as well. I think if you're nervous and you're down and you're worried, then it's not going to go your way.
Well, obviously your team's been known to be quite one of the most consistent teams in the minor tier. How do you get that going? Is it due to obviously just constant scrims, or is it just the people? Like how is that done, especially all season long? Obviously except from 1 week, but other than that, how do you keep that up?
Yeah, so we had the one bad week, but apart from that, I think we weren't really underestimating anyone, even against the teams right at the bottom who weren't winning any games really. We weren't winning as many as the others. We were still having our hour scrim before the game, going into it thinking, we want to take everyone as a 4-0. So, going in with that mindset of we want to win every single game, and scrim before it really helped us out.
Well, it's most certainly working. Obviously, going into the playoffs, obviously it's a bit nerve-wracking. Do you think the nerves are going to affect your team, or do you think it's all handled?
I mean, I've personally played playoffs in other sort of things like this, so I think I'm sort of a bit more used to it. I think I'm not sure how Lutix and Pounder will handle it, but I think they'll be fine. I think they'll, as soon as maybe the first game there'll be a bit of nerves, but as soon as we start getting some goals, maybe take a game or two, then we'll be good to go.
Oh, that's my questions for you, and obviously the best of luck to your team in the playoffs. Make sure you win it for my prediction, for the points.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll ask a couple more questions just to end it off. And looking at that last week of league play when it was all still to be decided who got the top 2 spots, coming off of that bad week as well, how confident were you that you would be able to get into the playoffs and not have to go through the absolute dread and dredge that the play-ins are proving to be? We're seeing how many close matches are coming out from that. So how confident were you going into that, and how thankful are you that you have been able to guarantee a top 2 spot?
Well, I mean, we were going into the last few weeks thinking, we've kind of secured playoffs here. Just need to keep going to where we are and we're good. And then we go that really bad week and we're sort of messaging each other like, oh, we could be in trouble here. But he's kept us we were going. We thought, just one bad week, one series, behind the other of a loss was one of the reasons. They didn't have a great mindset. That was the only week really where we dropped comms a bit when we started losing and we were getting a bit down with ourselves. But yeah, the play-ins looked scary, so we were really thankful we didn't have to go through all of that, because any team could get the other side of that, honestly. It's a scary bracket.
Yeah, as I said earlier, it certainly feels like there's a lot of coin flips going down in there for my play-in predictions at least. And my other question is about the community feel around these play-ins and playoffs, because I was looking through the playoff predictions there on the Chill Launch bracket, and the only people who have predicted you to win are Buddha here, yourself, and Hera. So, you're certainly not one of the favourites to win. And do you think that maybe relieves some of the pressure? How do you feel around that mentality that the community is feeling about your chances?
I mean, I think a lot of it is people see us as more of a sort of a league playing team, if that makes sense in a way. Like a lot of our games, although we're getting like winning results in quite a lot, they've all been like a lot of them 1-game wins or 1-goal wins, 2-goal wins. Sort of even against the bottom teams, they've all been very close games. But I think that's the main, because we haven't got any huge results against many teams. I think that's the main reason we're not seen as scary as some others.
Yeah, and I'll just ask one last one. If we move past the playoffs for a second and look towards the next season, how are your thoughts about that? Do you think that this team is a team that can kick on and keep on challenging, or do you think you might go your separate ways in approaching season 9?
I mean, I love the boys, Lutix, Powder. I mean, I think me and Brandau are now more of a solid. I don't think we're going anywhere. Me and Brandau as a duo, but but Powder and Lutix, they might even be going up a tier next season because they're hitting quite high ranks. So we'll have to see what the tier list is like next season. But yeah, for sure, I'd be down to play with them again if they were.
Yeah, I'll pass it back to Arch now.
I've just got 2 final questions that came to me as Butter and Barn was talking. So obviously, in the power rankings at the start of the season, we predicted you to be 8th. Was there any? Did that push you on this season to see you predicted so low? And obviously, because you finished so low last season, that's why we put you there. What is the improvement from finishing bottom of minor last season?
I mean, I'm not saying it pushed us, but it definitely, released all that pressure of maybe you put a team on first place and there's lots of discussions about them winning. No one was really talking about us in the beginning of the season because we were just another team there. Occasionally you might get a result, but apart from that, we finished quite low. So we just sort of played our game. Improvements, I mean, I think it's just the roster really just better chemistry, gelled better together than we did the last few seasons, and it just seems to be working out for us this season.
Okay, nice one. How have you enjoyed the season so far?
It's been terrible. I'm not sure I'll be signing up next season, No, it's been great. I've been really enjoyed playing with the lads this season because, I've actually been having fun with it a lot, which is important to do because if you stop having fun with these games, then there's not really much point of showing up. But yeah, always have a bit of fun with Brandau, and then of course Powder and Lutix are good lads to play with. So yeah, enjoyed it much.
Okay, nice one for joining us, and a very big good luck in playoffs to you.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that was our first guest, and our next guest is someone from my own franchise. He's actually called Mintletoe right now. Gotta love Christmas. Let me just drag him in. And here is the Northern Irishman himself. And I'll pass you over to the other Northern Irishman, Barmanitan, first.
Yeah, hello, Mintletoe. How are you doing tonight?
I'm alright. Yourself?
Good. I'm good as well. Looking forward to this and all of the outrage from the predictions that ensue. But I'll just go straight into it. How are you feeling about these playoffs? Is the confidence high? Is the morale high? Or how are your general thoughts about the whole day?
I think it's probably the biggest season for playoffs in general for me because I've always been predicted as really high, and this season, I'm coming into a new tier with like I'm really low on the tier list, and it's I don't know how we're gonna perform really. It was a bit it wasn't very nice that our own GM has put us not in the losers final at least. But prove him wrong. I'm blaming Ujkan if we don't win.
That's the best way to be. Blame your teammates. It's never your own fault in playoffs.
No.
And
he's never had anyone to blame. That's the thing. It's new.
And that's your whole chances. And I'll just hone in on that first game, the only game that who you're playing against Eternia. I think all three of us have predicted them to go through in that one, and I don't think many others are going the other way in it. So, do you think you can spring an upset, or do you think that game 5 is? I think most put it to game 5.
Yeah, everyone put it to game 5. It could go either way, to be honest. I know Saturnia are we beat them in a scrim once, but a scrim is different to playoffs. So I think we can put up an upset.
You have some confidence at least in that matchup, but
Only if Uj can plays well, though. Only
only if.
That's a big if, though. That's a big.
Yeah, there might be some hard carrying required. You know,
Yeah.
I've never found much success with that on my side. But yeah, pass you over to Buddha now.
Oh, hello, Minty. I believe this is one of the very few occasions we've actually talked to each other. Obviously, you left me in the Challenger tier from seasons ago. You're now in the Majors tier. You're part of the big boys. How does it feel to be a Major? You know, like what's the main step up? You know, going from that minor to Major.
I would say a lot of it is consistency and speed. When you come into it, like I just sat there in minor and challenger just doing mechanics, and most of the time I don't have time to do any of that anymore. So I've had to like adapt playstyle a little bit, play a little more passive, like just get better touches instead of just going off wall, double flip reset, musty flick. Yeah.
Obviously, looking at the roster, you're one of the lowest CMV players. Are you, in this playoffs, is your team going into as a rotational roster? Like, are you playing, or you just on the sidelines waiting to be like, "Yo, coach, sub me in"?
It will probably be me, the line, and Ujkan unless something really bad happens.
Oh, that's
Well,
what
Woozy Panda, not Ujkan.
Yeezy Panda.
Yeezy Panda. Ah, yes. This, it hurts me.
We don't know
Well,
whether
I
it
mean-
can risk Anima's potato internet.
Yeah.
It still ruins me to this day.
All these years later.
Are we good? All right. Well, for the fourth time trying to say this. Well, if Yeezy Panda, whatever he wants to be called, Panda Man, that's what I'll call him. That's
okay.
the new name. Yeah, Panda Man. If he throws, you can just do a Spartax. Say your controller's broken, then you can just be like, yeah, I'm subbing out. My last question. Oh, sorry, carry on.
I'm not gonna stereotype Spartax. Spartax gonna stereotype me.
Okay. Well, I can't wait for this playoffs now to see
He
how that
needs
turns out.
he needs to get through play-ins first.
Well, my final question before I head you back over. You know, obviously it's an obvious question. What do you expect from the playoffs? You know, as your own GM doesn't expect you to win. What do you expect?
At least the top 3 finish. At the very least.
Sounds good to me. I mean, I know I'm not probably getting there, so at least you can get there.
Yeah.
Okay, so you spoke about being top 3. Who is the team that you expect to take it all, or who you're the most scared of?
Most scared of Gladiators, I would say. You could say Saturnia because I haven't actually played them in like a league play series or whatever. Played them in Scrim once, but you know, that can't tell you a lot. If Blaze or Megamine make it through, we would be scared of them too because they've really picked out recently. But I think
Go on.
I think at the minute Glacies is at the minute for Major. I think the only one that can keep up with like Glacies kind of like speed and consistency would be Saturnia.
Okay, and is there any wild card pick that you think could give it a good run? Obviously, we've got Blaze and Megamine in the play-ins, Anju, Rhapsody, Thanatos. Is there anyone that you think could make a surprise run, like we predicted in Minor?
I don't know if you would call this a surprise, but I would say Bladesmiths because, you know, they have a really good team on paper, and if they all turn up, then that could throw your whole predictions over.
Okay, and what would it mean to be the back-to-back-to-back winner of RSC, the first free time in RSC? What would it mean to you?
Point first. But yeah, I don't know how I would be so happy, I can't lie. I would be over the moon. Back to back to back. Like, that is pretty insane.
Not even in the same tier as well.
Yeah. Challenger, minor, major. Question mark elite.
And that's my final question. Do you see yourself pushing towards elite, or is it still major MMR in ranked at the moment?
It's minor MMR at the moment in ranked. We're not even nearing major MMR at the minute. We're peaking at 1480.
I'm sure a lot of veterans of Rocket League know how that feeling is. Myself last season.
I'm at Prospect MMR at the moment, you know, that's the life for me.
I mean, my threes rank is 1257, so I mean,
You
we
got
are
me
nearing the
funny.
perfect division.
All right,
What a
Minty,
story.
I think that's all the questions for you tonight. Thank you very much for joining us, and good luck in the playoffs.
Thank you very much, Raquel.
Thank
Cheers.
you. 3-time coming up.
Okay, and that was DP and Minty from Minor and Major. They finished in the top 2 in the tier, and you can see them battle it out in their playoffs on Saturday and Sunday this weekend. But we started the stream with the clip of the season for Prospect and Challenger, and we're just going to play them one more time. You'll have time to vote afterwards. You can do the command ! COTS, and it will come up with the links. But we'll announce the winner at the end of the stream, but here is the clips.
Honey, I'm a perfect 10. What does perfect even mean? Is there even such a thing? Oh, can we switch up all the rules and imagine a utopia? Darling, I'm just so fed up with these expectations. They weigh me down. My heart is begging me to get the hell out of my head. I'm trying to live inside the upside down for a minute and pretend. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa, whoa. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa, whoa. And if I say it enough, it gets ingrained in my head, and I start to see. Honey, I'm a perfect 10.
They have one more chance, one more opportunity, and it looks like the ball's going to drop. It's gone all the way back into the majors half. They've just got to keep it up. JPEG might have a double touch to finish off the game, and he does. Absolute double touch coming out from JPEG just to finish the game off and eliminate majors down into the lower bracket of the playoffs.
It's overrated. These expectations, they keep weighing me down. My heart is begging me to get the hell out of my head. I'm trying to live inside the upside down for a minute and pretend. Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa, honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa, and if I say it enough, it gets ingrained in my head, and I start to think.
We'll be driving down the state, yeah. Look around for the next crowd, yeah. Going our own way, trying to find a new route, yeah. We'll be going in circles, trying to find a way, searching for the things we do, yeah. Drop top without a choice, yeah. Hair blown round to the window, singing stupid noise with you. I just wanna get to know ya. I wanna go far to the coast, yeah. I wanna drive fast to the ocean. I wanna know all of you. Growing old like a ghost, yeah. I wanna have kids of my own, yeah. Live a life till it's over. But until we do, it's sleeping too long. Yeah, I'm feeling a little crazy. Sat at home being lazy. Wanna travel to the lady, fly with you. Wanna take on the world and do something. Would you by my side like it's nothing? Wanna buy you things that you wanted. Wanna find you, drop top without a choice, yeah. Hair blown round to the window, singing stupid noise with you. I just wanna get to know ya. I wanna go far to the coast, yeah. I wanna drive fast to the ocean. I wanna know all of you. Growing old like a ghost, yeah. I wanna have kids of my own, yeah. And live a life till it's over. But until we do, it's sleeping too long.
There we go, ladies and gents. That is the clip of the season for Prospect and Challenger. You can go on the straw polls. I will put the link in the chat now. Thank you very much as well for the raid, IEL. You've just joined us during our awards show and our predictions for the minor and major playoffs at the weekend and throughout the week. And this is just the clip of the season that you can vote on it as well. Thank you very much for the raid again. But we go to players of the playoffs now. And Buddha, will start with you in Prospect. You must have had to play 8+ games throughout this competition.
Well, your MVP will be Killer Goose from Kindling with 393.69 points per game. And go to the finisher, it will be Pure Skills, one of the champions of the Cardinals roster with 1 goals per game. Your striker, Archangel 10G, 45% shooting accuracy, almost to that 50. And your playmaker will be Sheev. Sorry if I said that wrong, but 0.93 assists per game, almost getting that 1 a game in the playoffs. Then your savior will be Sneaking Shoe with 1.78 saves per game, almost getting that 2.
Really well played. The play-ins and the playoffs are the toughest matches of the whole season. But we will move on to the challenger players of the playoffs, where again, it's so tough. And again, you have to play 8+ games to do this. But we start off with the MVP, and you might notice a bit of a Nezuko Gang theme here, as Flex UK has picked up both MVP and the finisher with 470 points per game, and then 1.63 goals per game. His teammate says isn't far behind, though, as he gets the striker award with almost hitting that 50% again, and the playmaker award with 1.13 assists per game. Just an insane offensive output from Nezuko Gang in those play-ins. Couldn't quite get to the playoffs, though, and neither could Frizzle My Shizzle for scoring, despite his 2.25 saves per game to get the Savior Award. All 5 did really, really well, but just couldn't quite kick on.
I mean, that graphic there just shows how competitive the play-ins and playoffs were. The first place being taken by all the play-in teams, and yeah, it's just a shame that some of them didn't get through. We could have seen some different storylines, but a huge congratulations to the winners there. The Team of the Week graphic will be done once Premiere concludes. We don't want to give the name for the Team of the Week through playoffs yet, obviously, because we don't have a graphic for 2 people, so it'll be when all 6 playoffs have been played. But we move on to the seasonal top 3 stats now, and for this one you needed to play 20+ games out of the 72 throughout the season. And Buddha, take it away.
Your MVP, Say So Speedy, with 433.82 points per game. And it will be Buckets from the Oberon side with 1.39 goals per game. And your striker, Borelius, with 50% shooting accuracy. And your playmaker, Diago Kozul? I'll call him Diago. There we go. Best name ever. Diagako, there we go. 0.95 assists per game. And then your savior will be Kaz Beats with 1.9 saves per game.
That was Prospect. So many top players. You see players from Mages, players from Oberon, but into Challenger, and there's one man that stood above all the rest for an incredible core side that couldn't quite beat out Yahoo in the final. But Tomo, he finishes top of MVP, 441 points per game. He finishes top of finisher with 1.7 goals per game, and he finishes top of striker with 40.77% shooting accuracy. This has been an absolutely insane season for so many matches all throughout, and an incredible outfit, a full 0.5 goals per game ahead of its closest competitor. But your playmaker of the season is Dreed for Yahoo, your eventual winners, 0.97 assists per game for him. And your savior is Andre with 1.98 assists per game, proving to be that rock of the back despite Masse's lackluster finish.
And we move to the All-Stars now, Buddha.
The All-Stars in your Prospect All-Star. On the red side, it will be Pure Skills, Say So Speedy, and Avion. And it will be on the blue side, High-Viz, Buckets, and AJ47. And I'll say your subs, just in case no one can make it, will be Kampf, Killer Goose, Melty Crispy, and Crafty Mouse. All players who really showed up in the Prospect tier this season.
Yep, the 6 players who have been picked out will get the All-Star role in the server, and if someone needs to step in, they will also get that as well. However, the subs won't unless they actually play in the game. So we move on to Challenger now, Barmaniton.
We do indeed, and another incredibly talented 10 players from the Challenger tier this season. On to the red side, we will have Tomo, so many goals from him, Epic Ninja and Fawn. on that side, and they will be facing it off against the blue side of Twisted, Flex UK, and King Kazai. 6 incredible players. Your 4 subs will be Torn, Ohio, Frizzle, My Shizzle, and Says. So, again, what a performance. So many tough teams in here. So many teams that couldn't even get to the playoffs. I mean, you're just wishing that there could have been more than 6 teams because of such quality all across the board.
Indeed, but now is the big one. This is crowning your one player who stood out all season, and this is Prospect. Buddha, take this one away.
Oh, well, everyone wants to know who was the top player. Well, with 61 games, 26,463 points, 25 MVPs, 83 goals, 36 assists, 79 saves, 209 shots, 39% shoot accuracy with a 70% win rate, 7 hat-tricks, 7 playmakers, and 10 saviors. Well, who is that Prospect player from the Majors side? Your player will be Say So Speedy. Congratulations to him.
What a performance it has been from the man. He goes so close to taking the trophy in the grand final, but falls eventually to Cardinals. I mean, some of these stats are just an insane output. I mean, but look, 83 goals per game, 83 goals in 61 games. That's just insane, and almost getting MVP in half of them.
That is crazy, and this is a player from a team who made that grand final as well, who made such a good lower bracket run, and I mean, it is well deserved. What crazy stats we can see.
Yeah, brilliant season from Saiso, and also joined the staff team as well. He's just as good a caster as player. On his debut season as well, a huge credit to the Prospect tier, and we hope to see you next season. But Barmanitan, let's move on to the Challenger.
Here we go, the tier I played in, but I was nowhere near the quality of this man in Challenger. 56 games of 22 MVPs, 95 goals. You might already know who it is. It's 40% shooting accuracy, 76% win rate, 12 hat-tricks in those 56 games. Again, it's just an incredible offensive output from him. 4 cores. It is, of course, Tomo. And who else could it have been? Because he's just been absolutely insane. Gets so close to taking it all again in the grand final, but Yahoo proved too much for him, and his internet issues did unfortunately come to plague him. But massive, massive congratulations to the guy. He's such an incredible player, and I'm amazed that I'm in the same skill level as him, because he's just in a whole nother level compared to someone like me.
It's just crazy to see that, look, these 2 players have just got it. They weren't champions of their tier in playoffs, but it's just because how well and consistent they performed in league play. And even in playoffs, they played well, but they just couldn't get that crown.
Yeah, indeed. He's gone above and beyond in the Challenger tier. We haven't seen numbers in that tier since probably Minty in Season 6 with Nezuko Gang. So a huge credit to Tomo for the amount of goals. 95 in 56 games is just unprecedented. But yeah, that is the player of the season for Challenger. But Barmanitan, I think you've got the results of the clip of the season.
I do indeed. We started the vote at the very start of the stream, but the results are in. The public has voted. Your winner of the Prospect clip of the season, Season 8, is indeed Ozarn for Exelon. He got that goal against Gemini Storm right at the very start of the season. He got 28 votes to beat out Endrick from being in second with 9, so absolutely incredible goal. Did really well to get it in. Unfortunately, Exelon don't prove to be a matchup for the play-ins, but really, really well done for that goal. It was incredible mechanics on display, but that was Prospect. We move over to your Season 8 Challenger clip of the season winner. And for Neptunium, it will be Tauren against Fearless Kilo the goal came from. He got 11 votes. It was a bit closer in the Challenger tier, showing how maybe it's just a little bit more competitive and the mechanics really start to step up. But Tauren is the man to do it. Insane double tap read off the corner wall. And what a fantastic goal that was. And the pair of them were just unbelievable.
Yeah, indeed. Huge quality butter in this season's clips.
Yeah, I mean, the clips were outstanding. Every week we see these clips. We see Prospect and Challenger. Their clips are competing against the higher tiers in the clip of the week. So it's crazy to see, look, no matter the tier level, you can still have mechanics in the locker, and it's just crazy to see.
Indeed. And finally, to round us off, we've got the please subscribe to YouTube graphic. It's we've got all the tier matches on. We've already uploaded the Prospect and Challenger matches from the playoffs over the weekend. We've got so much more to come. We've got the RSCast in full, edited in a few days on there, and brand new content coming soon. You also don't want to miss the minor and major playoffs coming up this week as well, which will be uploaded from next Monday. So please subscribe to that on youtube.com/RSCEU. And finally, just to close us out, just visit our socials as well on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, all RSC_EU, where you can see stream announcements, clips and fails, player and team of the week, and giveaways on there. And also a huge shout out to our sponsor, Luna Organization. We aren't quite in the Elite and Premier tier yet. That will be in a week and a half time. But yeah, a huge thank you to them for sponsoring the £1,260 prize pool. But Buddha, Barmanitan, that is all we've got time for tonight. It's been a great awards show. It's been a great recap, and it's been great getting our heads castrated from predictions, don't you think?
It's always a great one. You know, we're gonna go to bed now, and we're gonna be like, oh no, it's just gonna see those comments vividly in our head, like, oh damn it, couldn't have done that. But either way, it's been a great performance from the prospect and challenger tier. Every team, they played their hearts out, and congratulations to all of those teams who obviously made play-ins, made playoffs, and obviously the winners of both the tiers. It's been amazing, and I can't wait to see the future tiers in obviously the future upcoming days.
Yeah, huge shout out to all those involved playing. And massive congratulations to the winners and, of course, your players for the seasons in each tier. Say So Speedy and Tomo, they were incredible. So many great players involved, and you know, throughout this coming week, we'll just have to see how much slander we will get for these very controversial predictions that we've made.
Yeah, indeed. Stay tuned, guys. 9 days straight of streaming already. Another 12, 13 to come. We aren't moving anywhere until December the 22nd, I think it is. So join us every night from 20 CET and on the weekend from 18 CET. I've been Archeon, that's been Barmanitan and Buddha, and we will see you very soon. Good night.
Good night.
Caught up in the matrix, have to keep waiting.